Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe, Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. In celebration of Halloween, I'm smoking up a pork shoulder inside of a pumpkin, and I'm also going to make a side of smoked spaghetti squash. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. All right, so as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm going to be smoking up a pork shoulder, and I'm going to be cooking it inside of this pumpkin, and I'm also going to be making some smoked spaghetti squash as a side. Now, I am doing a collaboration with Cooking with Rye. I don't know what he's doing on a cook, but he is using a pumpkin. I'm going to leave a link up to his channel up here so you guys can check him out. So I'm going to bring you guys in and show you how I'm going to rub this pork shoulder down. So stay tuned. All right, so we have a 9-pound pork shoulder here, and it is going to cook down. So I was worried about it fitting in the pumpkin, but I'm not, because it is going to cook down, and I'm also going to trim some of this fat. Now, pork shoulders have a ton of fat on the inside of them, so I'm a firm believer that you don't need all this excess fat on the outside, okay? If you want to leave it on, that's entirely up to you. I'm going to be cooking this in my Yoder Frontiersman at 275 degrees. Just keeping one hand clean. Again, just take off some of this extra fat that you see here. You can leave some of it on, but some of this excess stuff, you don't need it. Just glide your knife on top of the shoulder like this. And take some of this off. Just like that. You want to leave this on. This is really good. This is what they call the bacon, okay, of the pork shoulder. So I'm going to leave that on. A lot of people take that off because there's a big layer of fat under that as well. But I'm going to leave that on. Again, just a small trim, guys. Nothing too crazy. Just like that. Okay, a little bit off here. Okay, let's see the other side. I like to take this loose fat off. Some of this as well, just go in there, pinch it and pull it up. Okay. And some of this fat here. This fat is right above that money muscle. I'd like to take that off. Okay, and that is about it. So again, I kept one hand clean. So took maybe, I don't know, half a pound of fat off. The rubs that I'm going to use for my pork shoulder: garlic jalapeno seasonal. Hopefully I don't break off or break out into a cough like I always do. It's got me. And I am coughing away from my pork shoulder. Excuse me. And this rub will do that to you. If you've ever used it, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Got all the sides. Get that money muscle. The second rub is this honey rub from Victory Lane Barbecue. It's got a good flavor, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of heat. Put enough of this rub, okay? This is a big piece of meat, so it can handle all this rub, trust me. Okay, pat it down. I'm gonna finish rubbing this pork shoulder down, and I'll bring you guys back, so stay tuned. All right, so I've got the seeds scraped off on the inside. I just got a metal spoon, just scrape all the seeds off, and I put them inside this bowl because I am going to roast these seeds at a later time. So to prepare your spaghetti squash, I like to use olive oil and add enough of this olive oil throughout the entire flesh. Now this is probably going to take maybe an hour and a half because all you're trying to do is to get it soft. Okay, so I'm going to put this in probably 3 hours after I put my pork shoulder in. And then I'm going to use this JP AP. It's an all-purpose rub. I'm gonna leave a link to Juan's channel up top, so you guys can check out his channel. I think he runs an amazing channel and really good rubs. Again, salt, pepper, and vinegar, really good rubs. So put enough of this in here. It's got some really good garlic, some coarse salt, and some coarse ground black pepper as well. Just like that. Okay. We're gonna grab the pumpkin next, and I'll bring you guys back, so stay tuned. All right, so I've got my pumpkin completely cleaned out. Took all the stringy stuff off the inside, and I actually tasted it, and it's sweet. It's not as sweet as you would think, but it's sweet. So the next step is I've got 2 sticks of butter. Not sure how much I'm going to use, but these have been sitting on my counter, so it's softened butter. This is that Kerrygold, really good high quality butter. And I'm just going to grab the stick here and start to rub this butter on the entire inside cavity of this pumpkin. Actually, I'm only going to use 1 stick because this is a lot of butter. Okay, so just rub the entire surface, because again, I'm going to be eating this pumpkin. So I want a good flavor on there. Okay, turn it. Make sure you smear the inside completely. And again, I think butter goes good with pork. Okay, so just like this, let me show you guys the inside. You guys can see that, nice and smeared on the inside. The next step is I'm gonna get some brown sugar. I've got about 2 cups of brown sugar here. I'm gonna grab a handful and start smearing the inside as well. Okay, the butter that we put in there is gonna attach itself, or the sugar is gonna attach itself to the butter. Oh yeah, this is perfect. A little bit more sugar. Get this outer rim as well. There we go, just like that. So this is gonna sit on my counter, so is the squash. I'm gonna go ahead and put the pork shoulder in my smoker, and I'll see you guys outside, so stay tuned. All right, so we're outside at the Yoder Frontiersman, and my temperature is at 275. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my shoulder in with a fat cap down. Now the horn side is gonna go towards the firebox, just like that. And I probably won't come back and spritz this for now, maybe an hour and a half or so. So at that point, I'll bring you guys back, so stay tuned. All right, so we are at the 3-hour mark now, and let's take a look at this shoulder. Man, it's looking good still. Not ready. Don't have the color that I want yet. So I'm just gonna spritz it a little bit more. Just like that. I still want a nice darker bark, and probably another 30 minutes to an hour. I'm gonna check it in about 30 minutes, but I probably won't do anything for about an hour as far as putting it inside the pumpkin. If I come back after 30 minutes and I have a nicer bark, I'll go ahead and put my pumpkin in, and I'll show you what I'm going to do at that point. But again, pit has been maintaining 275. Actually, I'm going to take an internal temperature and see where we're at right now. All right, so I'm at 147. Not bad. I mean, pretty much this thing is cooked, but I do want it fall apart tender, obviously, but I want to get some more color on this shoulder. So we'll see you guys back in about 30 minutes to an hour, so stay tuned. All right, so we're at the 3.5 hour mark now, and that pork shoulder's got the color that I want. So another 30 minutes, it's going to be perfect. So right now the pit temperature is 250. I just opened the door so this side cooled down a little bit, but it's running at 250 as well. So I'm going to preheat my pumpkin, that way the pork shoulder doesn't cool down. So here's the top of my pumpkin. Just going to set it right here. Now what I want to do is preheat this pumpkin, the inside of this pumpkin, okay? So it's just going to go in there like that. I did take the shelf off. So I'm going to preheat this for probably 30 minutes. And at that point, I'm going to stuff that pork shoulder in the pumpkin, come back and put the lid on it. So stay tuned. All right, so the pumpkin has been preheating for 30 minutes. So now the pork shoulder has been on for 4 hours. Make sure you're on the camera there. So at this point, I'm going to try to stuff the entire pork shoulder in the pumpkin. Now, if it doesn't fit, I'm going to cut the money muscle off. That's why I have this knife right here. So let's give this a shot. Hopefully, I can stuff it in there. This is what we look like. Let me see what the easiest way is going to be. Well, I might be able to do it, actually. Let me see if I can. If it breaks, that's okay. Actually, I'm just going to cut the money muscle off. Try to cut it around here. Look how juicy this thing is. It's not ready. It's about 170 degrees internal. So at this point, I'm just going to stuff that extra piece in there. Fold that over. And put our top on it. Just like that. Now, as far as some of the fat cap came off. Actually, this is some of the bacon that I was telling you about. There's a bacon right there. I think my dog Ranger and I will enjoy a piece of that. So now at this point, I'm going to lift the pumpkin, and I do have it on a cooking sheet, or a pizza sheet. Let me remove this thermometer, and this sucker is heavy. So I'm going to put the sheet in the smoker. Whoa, almost lost it. And just put it in there like this. Okay, so that lid fits nice and snug, and it's warm, preheated. So I'm gonna leave that in my smoker for probably, I don't know, let me see if I can get you guys a better shot. There we go. Probably for about an hour, and we'll come back, so stay tuned. All right, so we're at the 5-hour mark, and let's take a look at this pumpkin. Oh yeah, that lid is still sealed. So I'm not going to open that. I don't want to interrupt what's going on in that pumpkin. But at this time, I'm going to go ahead and put my spaghetti squash in here. And I'm just going to put both of them right in this area. And there's plenty of olive oil inside of the spaghetti squash as well. And I don't want to disturb that. I'm just going to leave that right there. Actually, I'm just going to lean it up against the pumpkin. So the squash should probably take maybe a little bit over an hour. Actually, I'm going to close the door so I don't lose a whole lot of heat. So the squash is going to take maybe an hour and a half, if that. At that point, my pork shoulder should be ready. So we'll see you guys in about an hour and a half. Stay tuned. All right, so we're 6 hours into the cook now, and the spaghetti squash is ready. So this has been smoking for about an hour and a half now. So I'm just going to transfer them. Ooh, that's hot. So be careful because that's extremely hot. I shouldn't have done that. I should have gotten some gloves. But this is what our spaghetti squash looks like. Right there. Hopefully you guys can see that. And there is our pumpkin smoking along. The pork shoulder right now is at 181 degrees. So I'm going to shut this door down. Now about 30 minutes ago, I did take the lid off of the pumpkin because I saw the temperature. It just wasn't doing anything. So I took the lid off of the top of the pumpkin, let some of that heat, let some more smoke get in there. And I just put the cover on probably about 30 minutes ago. So I'm going to go inside, cover the spaghetti squash, and we'll give this pork shoulder probably another 30 minutes. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So our pumpkin is ready, our pork shoulder is ready, and our spaghetti squash is ready. So beautiful looking pumpkin. I got to tell you that the outside surface of it has a really nice dark color. I didn't add any oil to it. It just kind of got shiny on its own, which is kind of weird. But it's a beautiful looking pumpkin. And the internal temperature on the pulled pork was 205 degrees. So what I did is I took the lid off and let the inside get a little bit hotter, and then I put the lid back on. But I cut a little slit right here, and that's where I had my probe. So just so you guys can see that. So let's take a look at this. It's still really hot. It's been resting for probably 20 minutes, and it's still really, really hot. So I'm just going to grab a piece of this pulled pork from here. By the way, it's filled with liquid about a quarter of the way, and some of that's that butter and that brown sugar, and obviously some of the fat from the shoulder. Actually, let me get this out of the way here. And it's really tender. This pumpkin is about to pop. It's so tender. So here's our pork shoulder. Here's a piece of it anyway. And look at this. It's just shredding. Okay. Really tender. Good smoke ring. I mean, look at this thing. It's just shredding. Look at how rich and red that color is. Hopefully you guys can see that on the camera. But the smoke ring is crazy on this thing. But look at this. So I'm going to shred some of this up. But I also want to taste this pumpkin. I want to see what this tastes like here. Oh man, it's really tender. Some of the juices are coming out the side here. But here's the pumpkin here. So I'm going to scrape some of this off, probably take a couple more pieces off. Now, as far as the spaghetti squash, I want to show you guys this as well. So the spaghetti squash, I already went ahead and shredded one out. And again, I just got a big fork, and real simple process. I'll see if I can do this backwards so you guys can see this. Just stick a fork in there and start shredding it like this. So you end up with these little spaghetti strands that you can see here. Okay, so just keep running your fork through there. You can see it turns into spaghetti. Now, I added a little bit of butter. Oh man, it's really tender. So I added some butter, so just go ahead and mix that in there. And you want to taste it, make sure it doesn't need any salt or anything else. Man. Oh, man, this smells so good. So I'm going to make a platter of this, and I'll bring you guys back, so stay tuned. All right, the moment I've been waiting for 7.5 hours is finally here. Finally get to taste the food. The pork shoulder, got the spaghetti squash, and I got some pumpkin here. I added some butter to this bowl. Okay, I took the pumpkin off of the peel just with a knife and put the chunks in there. Grabbed a fork and just kind of mixed it up with a little bit of butter. Sprinkled a little bit of brown sugar in there. So I'm sure that's gonna, I haven't tasted it, so I'm sure it's gonna be good. It smells amazing. Just a reminder that I want you guys to check out Cooking with Rice channel and see what he did with his pumpkin. I'll leave a link up top to his channel. I think it's on this side up here. Check him out, subscribe to his channel. One of my favorite channels. Check him out and see what he did with that pumpkin. So let's dive into this. So I'm gonna taste this spaghetti squash first. Now I've had this before, but never smoked and never with the JP AP rub that I used. But spaghetti squash is delicious. I'm sure it's gonna be good smoked. Buttery, very savory, good smoke flavor, a little bit of just a small hint of smoke flavor, nothing too crazy. I want to try this pumpkin here as well. Now with this, I added some butter and a little bit of brown sugar. So here we go. Oh man, you know, it tastes like a man, that's good. It tastes like a sweet potato. That same flavor of sweet potato. That pumpkin is delicious. Now for the pulled pork. Again, an amazing smoke ring. And because it did roast inside of this pumpkin, I know it's going to be really juicy. Okay, so, and you can see here, really tender, good smoke ring. Cheers, guys. Man, it is so tender. It's unbelievably tender. Good flavor. Just a small hint of pumpkin on the pulled pork. Obviously the smoke flavor is there. Absolutely delicious. You guys want to host a Halloween party, you want to impress your guest, I highly recommend that you do this. If it's not a pulled pork, maybe a couple of Cornish game hens, maybe a small turkey, maybe a chicken. For Halloween, I got to tell you, you show up to the party with a pumpkin like this, with a nice surprise on the inside, you're going to be the talk of the party. Thanks for watching. I had a lot of fun with this video, with this cook. Rye, thanks again for joining me on this collaboration. Check out his channel. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. Until next time, Joe, Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. See ya.